Hey everybody, it's Stacy with Pageantry Now. We are here for it is the star-studded Miss USA night, apparently, which I'm super excited about. But I'm here for the second edition of our show tonight. I have Miss Montana USA. It's going to be on, and she's going to talk about her reign and what she's doing and her goals for going to Miss USA. But before we do that, let's just put the stuff that I say always. We're all about positivity and pageantry, being able to highlight the amazing things title holders are doing to change their world and make a positive impact. We rarely hear the good things that happen with pageantry. You always hear what went wrong at a pageant the night before, or sometimes you'll see reality TV, and the reality is it's not really about that. So we're going to talk tonight, and if you've got questions, please ask them in the chat. If you ask me a question, I'll highlight it. Make sure that you keep them PG-13 because we do have teens that watch, and we just want to make sure that the comments are appropriate in the chat. So with that, we're going to get ready, and here we go. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So introduce yourself so that everybody can know who you are and your title.
My name is Merissa Underwood. I am Miss Montana USA 2020.
Awesome. And you are Morgan's grown-up sister.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but you're her pageant sister. So we've had Morgan on. So I was excited to get to know you. And let's just talk about, I know you've been busy between going, I mean, you just came back from Oregon, from Miss Oregon pageant. And I know that this weekend you were doing some pageant training. So let's talk a little bit about what you've been doing so far as Miss Montana USA and what the goals are heading into Miss USA.
So we just had, like you said, Miss Oregon USA last weekend, and the weekend was so full. All four of the Miss title holders were there, including obviously Katarina, the new one. And we spent the weekend doing a few photo shoots, and we did coaching with Giselle and Carrie, our interview coach. And it was just like go, go, go. And we're in full gear getting ready for Miss USA. In 2 weeks, we're heading to Austin, and we'll be shooting with Kathy Whitaker and Grant Photo. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Like because I interviewed Imani last night, which I mean, this is crazy for me, but it's nice because I get to meet all of you before I'm at USA backstage, being able to try to talk to everybody. So I'm excited because I get to know you all a little bit better before you go. But is Imani going to Austin too?
All four of us are, yeah. All eight of us,
all
actually.
Eight of you. Like, that's just mind-blowing to me. Like, the fact that, but it has to be so cool. It's got to make the experience so much brighter for all of you because you really do have each other to really lean on in this crazy pageant world.
Yeah, and the fun thing is that we're all actually really similar. So I'm like really outgoing, noisy, and silly, and very sarcastic. And Imani and I were rooming together over the weekend, and her and I are very similar. And it like we're so loud, and like everything is a joke for us. And so it's really nice because we're just so on the same level. All of us are like goofy and silly and loud, and we don't take ourselves too seriously, so we all get along really, really well.
I think that's so cool. And I think that, like, I mean, I love that idea that it really is a sisterhood. And I know Morgan, because Morgan and I judged at NAM together, and I got to know her and Lisa really well. But she had nothing but amazing things to say about you, and just like how you really are, have become this big sister to her, which, this is all really new for her. So, oh, my friend Stephanie just logged on. Steph, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. She says, so how many dance parties happened this weekend? If any.
A lot.
So let's talk about that. Like, was it just you guys being goofy, or was it a lot just dancing around the room, or what happened?
Yeah, so I love music. That's like my big passion in life. And so I kind of can't do anything unless I have music going. Hi Alexia, my best friend just jumped on my Instagram, so I have to say hi. Hi. I miss you. So I always have music going, and I'm a very, very high energy person. So I have like loud music going pretty often, and it's just like constant like
Yeah,
dancing. And
and Imani's a
when
dancer. Are you a dancer too?
I'm not a good dancer, but it's weird because all my friends, like Alexia's right here, she did cheer for so long, was like an elite cheerleader. All of my really good friends are dancers or cheerleaders, and then I'm this random horseback rider who can't like I can shuffle and I can do things like that, but um I'm not a good dancer.
But you don't have to be a good dancer to love music, and honestly, I'm not a good dancer either. I have a gymnastics background, but that was always the challenge for me was trying to add dance to my routines. I'm like, I just don't get it. Don't ask me. Like, I can't do any of the new moves. Like, I just, we had to ban flossing from the gym because I just don't get it. And my students were making fun of me because I'm like, I don't get it. So, but that doesn't mean
Flossing
I
is
can't. I
an
can't
activity,
dance like a
so
goofball, right?
yeah, exactly.
Whatever, wherever the music takes you. So that's awesome.
Mhm.
So so let's talk about what made you want to compete for Miss Montana USA, and is this your first pageant? So let's talk about like that history.
No, definitely not my first pageant. I've held a few local titles. I go to school. I took a semester off, so I'm not in school right now, but go to school in LA at Loyola Marymount. So I competed in Southern California for a while, but Montana had always had this really special place in my heart. Being a horseback rider, there's a big competition here called the event at Rebecca Farm. And so it was kind of like somewhere that my horse always performed really well in. So I was like, that sounds,
We're gonna do that.
amazing. Yeah, we always showed really, really well here. So, and I'm very outdoorsy and I love rock climbing and I love being outside. So it felt like a great place for me to be.
Are you a jumper or dressage?
3 day.
Oh well, okay. Now tell me about this because that one I don't know. I had a Pasifino when I was in high school that I
Oh,
borrowed from somebody. Like we took care of it, but it wasn't really mine. So so
uh-huh.
let's talk a little bit about that because I don't know what it is.
So 3 day is both dressage, show jumping, and cross country. So you were right. There's just another aspect to it. So it's the one where you run through the water and you jump over the logs, and we wear the vests and the inflatable vests. And I mean, the reason why I say I'm not a very good dancer is because I fell off all the time. Like you weren't good unless you were falling off all the time, which
Right.
is it sounds backwards, but
No,
I
I mean
yeah
that's how
I've
you get better at it is because you have to change how you move with the animal, and if you don't learn to move with the animal, I mean, I guess that's dance. It's just a different kind of dance.
yeah. And there's that aspect of being so still and so in control but also completely out of control. I mean, at the end of the day you can't actually control the horse. They're just kind of submitting to you more so, but it's that give and take that you have with your horse.
All right. So did you get into pageants because you liked the aspect of competition that you're having with horseback riding, or was it something that made you go, I think I want to win a crown? Like,
Ooh,
oh, we
cut out. Can
froze.
you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
There we go. Can you repeat the last question?
Yeah, I said was it did you get into pageants because of horseback riding and you liked the idea of competition, or was it something that was like I want to just wear a crown or compete for a crown to be something different?
Really neither. I saw Miss USA on TV when Alyssa Campanella won, and I was like, that's really cool. And I didn't know anything about it. I just saw that it was glamorous and fun, and people said to me, "Oh, you're tall and you're pretty. You'll do really well." And then I didn't do really well for a really long time because it's not just about being tall and pretty and being able to speak well. It's so much more than that, and you have to have a really specific goal and know what your purpose is and your platform. And I think that's what made this year come together really well for me personally because everything just fell together really well as a vegan animal rights activist. We have all these climate crises happening, so I think it was the perfect moment for me to come in and say, this is what I've been doing for so long, and I think that I can share that information with people. And having a state title really allows you to connect with so many people.
It changes it. And I say part of the opening is that it's about women changing their world using a crown and a sash. And your world can be local, it can be state, it can be national, it can be international. But it's
Hmm.
really how you can use your voice and really hopefully influence people in a way that is positive. And I always say that, especially when you get to the USA level where you will be at soon, and then the universe level as well. So that could happen too. That moment of realization hit me yesterday when I was talking to Imani. Is that, you know, I could be interviewing right now the next Miss Universe, and we don't even know it. So,
Yeah.
but how you become an ambassador for your state, for your beliefs, for your nation, if that goes farther, and hopefully we do see that. So how do you think your voice is going to be heard and seen with being able to help our planet and help animals and all of that coming together?
Well, the thing about what I stand for and what I do is it does challenge many people's way of life. And I acknowledge that and empathize and understand that. But I think what we're facing is essentially a climate catastrophe. And so few people have any idea what they can do. Like we hear about it day in and day out, climate change, global warming, blah, blah, but like what can we do? We have no idea, honestly. So I think me being able to say, hey, here are the things that can really, really help. And here's something. So I also advocate for sustainability, zero waste, recycling. So if we all just do a little bit enough, it'll make this huge, huge change. But we have to be told what it is in the first place, or else we just have no idea.
Right. Well, and that's it. I have read in different places that if the world stopped using electricity and cars, automobiles, for one day, that could be enough to allow the planet to start to heal itself and for the ozone to start to replace itself.
Wow. I haven't heard that. That's amazing.
Which to me was, when you think about, I mean, and I know that it's all changing. Everybody tries, well, hopefully people are trying to make their change, but like we've done something as simple. Just recently, we bought one of the attachable bidets to the toilet. It's
Hmm.
so crazy to say it, but toilet paper and baby wipes can be really bad for the environment, and we don't have the
Yeah.
ability to be able to reuse that water, to use it, send it back out into the oceans and the rivers. So
Hmm.
we made a conscious decision, and I was like, well, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's cheaper in the long run, and it's going to have a better effect on the planet. The other thing that we've done is we've started using reusable bags for, like, when we do. I don't like to use plastics anymore, but yet it's still really hard not to.
Yeah.
But using reusable bags that you can wash, you can get them on Amazon. They're super cheap, but those kinds of things are little things that you can make so that you're not putting more plastic out into the planet. Um,
Hmm.
because we have, massive whales that are dying because they're eating all of the garbage in the ocean. And
Yeah.
if we don't have a way to be able to repopulate our oceans, the planet's going to die. It's that simple. It may not
Yeah.
happen. It may not happen like in our a lifetime, but it's getting to be that possibility. So,
Hmm.
what are things that are simple things that you could suggest to people to do to be able to have a positive effect without making a whole lot of change in their life to be able to hopefully help the planet?
Well, I think the first issue there is that you said without making a big change. And I think that we're at the point in climate change in what's happening is that we have to make
Make a
big
big change.
changes. We can't we we hold on really tight to our way of life, but our way of life has brought us to this point where there's natural disasters, there's fires, there's all these things. Our rivers are polluted, our waters are polluted. We have gone past our limits, so we have to come back way, way past our limits inwards, if that makes sense. So the biggest thing that I always advocate for is adopting a whole foods plant-based diet as much as you possibly can. While I do acknowledge that that's very hard for some people in different areas, but even, reaching for oat milk or coconut milk is significantly better than dairy milk. Not eating fast food makes a huge impact. So just really bringing down your consumption you eat 3 times a day, sometimes more. I eat like
You
seven
should
times
eat
a day.
6, 7 times a day. That's what you should. That's the way we were born. That's why babies eat every couple of hours. It's the way it should be. It's
Yeah,
not, but it should be that way.
exactly, exactly. And so for me, I'm a constant grazer. I'm eating all the time. So I'm making these conscious choices all the time, about every hour, about how my plate is going to affect everything else. Now, on top of that, I also do things like I always wash my clothes in cold water and not hot water. I don't use any plastic water bottles. I always have a water bottle with me constantly.
I do
Um,
too.
you know,
I've got.
yes. Yeah, and like you said, not taking plastic bags from the grocery store, even brown paper bags. Say no, bring your own. I will literally walk back to my car with things in hand. Oh, I shove things in my pockets and my pants because you're just going to come inside and take everything out. So, also not going to Starbucks every day. And if you do, bring your own
Own
mug.
cup. I have my own cups. In fact, we stopped. I made an active choice. I said, you know what? I have my own cups, but I'm going to stop going to Starbucks, and I'm going to take that $25 a week that I would be spending on insane. It's just insane that we spend $5 a day on coffee, but we
Yeah.
do. But I give that money to somebody else.
Mm,
So whoever I pay it forward. I don't know who it's going to be on a weekly basis, but if I have the money to waste at Starbucks, no offense to Starbucks, I love you, but yes, but it's true. Like, and then it's helping the economy, it's helping the planet, and it's probably helping my body because I'm not
yeah.
having it.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, and we need to be making these changes. I live in Miami, where we are highly affected by climate, uh,
Mhm.
to the point that where I live in Miami, which is just within a half a mile of the water, less than a half a mile of the water.
Wow.
Uh, Parts of my neighborhood will be underwater by 2025.
Mm. Wow. That's, oh,
5 years.
yeah.
5 years. And we do not have a plan for it. And
No.
in the
No.
state of Florida, it's illegal to use terms like climate change and global warming.
Uh,
Illegal. Illegal. And it affects us. It is it, you know my state. I mean, I know everybody's state, but because we now are seeing that increase in, like you said, natural disasters. We've had in the last 10 years the biggest storms in history, um, and they keep coming, and they're not going to stop because the planet's going, wait, hold on a second, y'all are going to be breaking us, we're going to take you out, so get
yeah.
ready.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's I want to go back a little bit because I
Those-
still want to continue this conversation, but I want to
oh,
go
there.
back a little bit to when you're competing as a local title holder. What made you keep hearing no? Because it can be very distressing. I was a first runner up for a very long time. It wasn't until I was 36 that I won my first title. So I was first runner up for, I've been competing for 37 years.
So you know
I
the game.
started I started at 16. I know what it is like. I gave up, and then at 36 years old, I came back. So what
Mhm.
made you not give up?
I have always been a very persistent person, and so when I lose at something that I want or I don't get it, it it makes me want it more. And when I first started competing, I made friends really quickly like that. Like my best friend who was here, I don't know if she's still here, but
Alexia.
yeah, we met at a local pageant, and so my world now is kind of it's like a pageant world. Like my closest friends are pageant girls, and the pageant community is so tightly knit that once you first start competing and you make those friends and you meet directors, you're in it, and it's so fun. And it's hectic, it's crazy, but
It's
it's
bananas,
so
but it's
fun.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah. So I wanted it more and more every time I lost.
do you think that it was the competitive side of you that made it that way, or do you think that it was just you really, because I say that sometimes you get bit by the bug. Well, generally, I don't meet a whole lot of women that do pageants that go and they win and then they go, oh, that's it, I'm never going to do it again, or they say it is and then 5 years later or 2 years later or 10 years later they're competing again because it came it comes back around. It's very
Yeah.
seldom that someone really truly walks away from it. So do you think it was just that, nope, I'm not giving up, or do you, we got thumbs up, so thanks for whomever is thumbsing up. If you've got questions too, and you're sending hearts, we appreciate that. Ask questions and I will try to highlight them. Just please make sure we keep them um, safe for our audience. So but yeah, we every now and then we don't get them anymore, but we used to get people who would be like totally inappropriate. I'm like, come on. So is it just that you don't want to, that you like competing and winning, or do you think it's the relationships that keep you coming back more than anything else?
I think it's both, and pageants require you to be better and better and better. And they require you to look at yourself and say, well, what's special about me? What do I have to offer? Why am I here? So, what I think is really cool about what's happening with the Miss Universe organization is they're going away from just the most beautiful face in the room, and they're going towards the person who has something to say. They have a life goal. They have, this is what's so amazing about Chesley is you hear her speak and you're like, oh, okay, like she's a leader. She's just a leader. And same with Zosie. She's a leader, and it's completely changing the type of leadership women that we have, because now you can be a pageant title holder and go on to work in politics, because this is what it prepares you for, to
Right.
walk into a room and say, this is who I am, this is what makes me different, and this is my plan. So I hope that we can work together.
No, and I agree. And that was when Deshauna and I became friends through this crazy thing. I'm always blessed and I'm grateful. Thank you for being on the show. But uh, my vision of Pageantry Now 4 years ago when we started, because our anniversary was Tuesday, was this. I wanted to have the USA title holders to come on. And so I had gotten to know Deshauna because I was at the lives, and we spent time together. And I was backstage with Deshauna before she gave up her title. And Paula walked in. And I'm like, wow, okay, Paula, I got to ask you something. Is this really the direction that we're going with Miss USA? Is this where MUO is going? Is this what we're going to see of Miss Universe? Because Deshauna really was not, I mean, and even going back to Nia was not the typical Miss USA in that she really wanted to speak her mind and not fit into the mold that they had set for her. So,
Yeah.
going forward with Olivia Jordan, and she's super sparkly and fantastic, but and I love Olivia, but Deshauna really was not what we had seen,
Yeah.
or the personalities that we had seen. And
Yeah.
that was the thing, is that Paula said, we want women, and confidently beautiful isn't just a statement, it really is true.
Hmm.
We're making empowered, or allowing empowered women to have an opportunity to, as and I keep saying it, Zosie said it best, take up space.
Yeah.
We need to take up space. And let me tell
Hmm.
you, Chesley and Zosie are even Kaylee, being there for me, seeing all three of them be crowned and having that moment where I was like, Miss Universe organization has stepped it up. So,
Hmm.
what are you bringing to that title, Miss USA? Like, what makes you the person we need to vote for? What makes you the person that's going to take up space and be, I mean, you could be the next Miss Universe.
Thank you.
But no,
Okay,
it's
so
not even, it's not, okay, no, let's back it up. You could be the next Miss Universe. I could be interviewing a year from now, and you will be the person that I will be talking to. So be the ambassador, not just to Montana, be the ambassador to the United States. Tell me why we need you.
so like you said, they're looking for title holders who are not afraid to speak their mind. And if there is one thing that there is about me, is that I will always be that person to say something. I don't know what it was when I was young. You'd always hear speak up for people, speak up for animals, and I just heard it and I ran with it. And so now I'm always that person. And for me specifically, animal rights is my biggest concern. 56 billion land animals per year are slaughtered in the United States alone. More animals, including fish, are slaughtered in a year around the world than the amount of humans that have ever walked the planet.
Yes.
And that number is just, it's disturbing to me when I think about it. And you think about the fires that are raging in Australia and how many animals have died, and it's tragic. But
And the volcano going off in the Philippines too. I mean, hello, this is not, and this is okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I have to add that too because we have
yeah,
Filipino people that Filipinos that watch us, and I want to tell everybody in Australia and the Philippines that we are concerned and praying for you. And this is crazy, and our planet is literally going. You know what? That's it.
yeah,
But okay, so continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. I
no,
apologize.
no. Yeah, but that's absolutely right. And all these animals that are dying from natural disasters, it's heartbreaking. But it's this the amount of animals that have died in both of those natural disasters equates the amount of animals that we slaughter in 2 days for food. 2 days. So these numbers are completely outlandish. So how we're eating our everyday diets is
It's not.
completely unsustainable.
Yeah.
So what I want to do if I have the opportunity to be Miss USA is to show people the drastic changes that they can make to the environment if they switch to a whole foods plant-based diet that is preferably locally sourced food. So we're trying to cut out importing foods from completely different countries, encouraging farmers markets, local things, even growing in your backyard. And beyond that, composting, recycling, properly recycling your electronics. So we have to look at, we can talk about all the other socioeconomic issues that we deal with, but unless we acknowledge and address what's happening with the climate, we'll have nothing. So we can talk about the economy day in and day out and social issues. But if we can't get our rivers clean, if we can't stop murdering animals, and if we can't get our natural resources back, we have nothing. And so I think it's a really phenomenal opportunity what we have switching the concept of what Miss Universe organization is looking for. I truly believe that they're looking for a woman who's like me, who's going to stand up. Being Miss Montana USA in a very heavy ag state has been really hard, and I have been challenged every single day by people. People call me names. A petition was started. It got
What?
really
What?
out of
What? No. What?
yeah, so there were two change.org petitions to have me removed on the sole basis that I am a vegan, and that I encourage people to adopt a plant-based diet, and that I've spoken out. So factory farming is a direct cause of climate change,
Yes.
and I've spoken about that, and people are very upset.
Oh, yeah. My sister in law loves Morrissey. I'm sure you're familiar with Morrissey. I went to a concert. I was still pretty. I mean, it was a couple of years ago, but I was not really aware of the dramatic things that happen in farming and seeing the slaughtering that's happening. I'm Jewish, so I mean I'm not kosher by any means, um, but at one point in his concert he shows what's
Mm,
going on, just a chicken farm, and just showing what
mm.
happens. And my sister-in-law put her hands over my eyes. She goes, "You can't see this." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm here for the concert. I think I should be able to see it." And then I watched probably less than a minute of it, and I couldn't continue looking at it because it was frightening to see the it's carnage. It's not safe. And I feel badly because I'm trying to figure out. I was vegetarian for a while, but I've got a bunch of food allergies that like I can't. I'm allergic to all legumes, so I'm trying to figure out like how. Yes, oh my god, and it's horrible.
Yeah, that's bad. See, when
How can
people
I
tell
get
me they have,
protein though? Like that's the thing I don't
yeah,
know. How do I do that? I'm
yeah,
allergic to nuts and I'm allergic to legumes, so it's like
mm,
so maybe you can give me some ideas. You'll have to text me. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, when people tell me they have a soy allergy, a nut allergy, fruit allergies, I know somebody who's allergic to like every kind of fruit there is, then at that point I say, all right, you are not the ideal candidate for what I would consider it to be a whole foods plant-based diet. But the majority of people don't have those type of issues, so
right.
that's completely understandable. And speaking with a nutritionist or somebody who can help you kind of navigate that path when you do have very very specific dietary needs.
Jennifer Johnson says eggs. Yes, and I agree eggs, but then I like then it's not vegan because I mean I can still be vegetarian and do it, but I like if I'm gonna do and I was for several years, and then I started having this rash, and it was the food that I was eating, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've gone to a whole based clean living, and that's messing me up. That's just like that I'm that way. It's okay. You get used to it. Stephanie Grady says, she's one of my friends too. She says that uh, forks over knives was what her vegan son suggested for her, and that was life changing. So
Mm,
it's true though. Like, let's just take. Well, let's not take it. It's a problem, and our consumption is in the United States. Nobody understands the dramatic effects that our consumption as a country and the amount of waste that we
mm-hmm.
have as a
Yeah,
country.
yeah,
So I mean the food waste, it's absurd. It's
yeah.
obscene. And yet we have people that here that are starving, and that shouldn't be happening either. Like how this sorry. I don't get very like very nitty-gritty about stuff like this, but it's true. It's a big deal.
Well, it's terrifying. I think 28% of landfills are food. And I mean, I don't know anybody other than myself and a couple of very close friends who compost. Um, that's a challenge in and of
People
itself.
say
Is
that's a California thing. Which I hear here, and I'm like, why is it a California thing? It shouldn't be a California thing. I mean, if we're
Mhm.
going to spend, millions of dollars for a little teeny quarter acre lot, not even, and build it so that it's all, when you, I don't know if you've ever been to Miami, but you fly into Miami over the ocean and then it's all cement. There is no green here at
Mm,
all.
mhm.
But if you're going to spend millions of dollars on a cement structure, like why? Like why?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't own a home here because I can't afford one, but I don't think that I would want. My husband and I've talked about it because it's like absurd.
yeah. It
And
is. It's
it,
hard to exist.
okay, so and I'm really concerned about the fact that people have actually started a petition to to have you to have your title
Oh, you
taken
froze
away
again.
because I'm concerned about the fact people have started a petition to have your title taken away because you're representing our planet. Like what the heck?
Yeah. So I mean, what I said, and I will stand behind it. I said that animal agriculture is one of the leading causes of climate change, and that includes deforestation, water pollution. The majority of antibiotics that are created go to farming animals. And I've had enough. and I want to come out and say, hey, this isn't right. I don't agree with it. And I think that we need to do something about it. And, the major companies that kind of run everything, the beef industry is there, the dairy industry is there, and the sugar industry. And I actually had a friend who worked for the USDA, and she told me beef, dairy, and sugar are untouchable. Untouchable, as far as politics goes. So we look at the food pyramid, which now has been changed to the plate.
Changed, right.
Yeah, she said that they worked tirelessly to remove dairy from it because dairy is not healthy for you, and it was completely voided, thrown out. They ignored it because the dairy industry has so much money and the lobbyists are so powerful that it doesn't matter what the real answer is, doesn't matter what the truth is. It's where's the money. And that's kind of how, and I'm a political science major, so that's how politics works, unfortunately, is follow the money.
I used to be. That was my original major. And I got 15 credits shy, got accepted to law school, and then went, oh, what the heck am I doing? And then went back to school and became a teacher. Go figure. So,
Oh, I love
but I mean,
it.
so my degree was international relations. I was going to go into international law because I mean, and I think I would have had a great effect there, but I think as a teacher, I've had a bigger effect. So it's been
Mhm.
whatever it is, but it's hard. What's going on? And honestly, I'm going to say something that most of my viewers don't know. First of all, Jennifer Johnson Garrison says, "So glad that we are bringing this topic out there because so few people really do understand what's going on. Um,
Yeah.
our government is all about control, and
Yeah.
I I have spoken pretty openly about the issues that I have. I was diagnosed with terminal cancer 23 years ago. Um,
Whoa.
they gave me 8 weeks to live 23 years ago. I've had two other cancers caused by that, and now I have heart failure caused by that.
Holy cow.
And then 8 years ago, I was training for a triathlon and I got hit by a truck riding my bicycle. My
We
crazy
need to
life.
save you.
I need to be saged, please. Sage. Stephanie's gonna be loving that comment because Stephanie is one of my friends, which she knows. But I was on so many medications.
Mm.
It was mind boggling. It's still mind boggling because it's the only thing to keep my body going. But my body has been damaged by all of these things, obviously. Um, 2 years ago, someone suggested I try CBD, which
Oh, yeah.
is for cannabis. It's cannabis based, and
Mhm.
I was like, I don't know. Within and this isn't me advocating for it, but for anybody else, it might work for you, it might not. But within 30 days, my medications have been cut in half. I was totally off of narcotics. I was feeling as normal as I hadn't felt in so long. My heart
Wow.
medication had been cut. Even my doctor said, this is crazy.
Wow.
Um, and the only reason that marijuana is illegal in the United States is because of the paper industry, because hemp, yes, that is the only reason. There you go. So, talking about lobby, talking
Huh.
about how much control, and cannabis used to be in our diet, being
Hmm.
plant-based diet, our bodies need parts of it to be able to make our nervous system work correctly.
Mhm.
So all of these issues now with autism, with people having more anxiety, all of these things that we're finding over the last, several years, well, in the last 30 years, 40 years, are because the paper industry didn't want hemp taking over their industry,
Mhm.
which
I
is
believe it. I've
totally
never heard that before, but it's
bananas.
fascinating, but I don't doubt
Bana-
it for one second.
it's bananas. Lobbyists shouldn't
Yeah.
have this much. Oh my gosh, I don't get political ever. This is really, but seriously, lobbying is not about helping the general people. Lobbying is about helping specific people.
Themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh wait,
It's
okay. So
true.
it's true. So Stephanie just said yes, Sage. I knew she was going to say it. And then she says she just you saw what happened with Oprah when she had that issue with the beef industry, and it's a shame how
Yeah.
we're putting money over everything. I didn't see it.
Yep.
What happened with the beef? Oh gosh, Steph, we're gonna have to talk. Thanks for
So
being here.
there's ag gag laws, and they implement them heavier depending on which state. So California has the least invasive or intense ag gag laws, and some states, Montana included, are very severe. So if you come out and you stand up against a specific factory, farm, whatever it may be, you can actually be sued. And I believe she was sued, and I think she won though. I
Ooh.
From what I remember, but somebody actually, so I received an uncanny amount of aggressive, threatening messages. And one of them was, it was like, you'd better watch what you say because laws are really particular and they're going to come after you. And I was like, oh,
Dude, okay. Oh, first of all, that means that what you're doing is being effective, because if you're pushing someone's buttons to the point where they have to bully you, then clearly the message
yep,
you are trying to deliver is enough to make somebody uncomfortable. So
yeah,
congrats for that, because that, I don't want to advocate bullying. It's not bullying on your part, it's bullying on their part. But don't let them take your space or your air.
thank you. Yeah.
Seriously. Ugh,
I,
okay, now I'm
I
mad.
said, so when it all first happened, a lot of people told me just stop going on Instagram, turn off the comments, and we did actually turn off the comments for a little while. And he said, stop responding, stop looking into it. But what I found was that a lot of, especially the young women who were really aggressive and mean with me, I would answer and I would say, let's talk about this. Why are you speaking to me like this? Why are you calling me names? And I'm telling you, maybe 10 messages later, we're friends. And so it's this very polarizing thing that we're dealing with, and I get it. You know, nobody likes to be told what they're doing is wrong. Nobody likes to be told that their family, their grandpa and their grandpa's grandpa and their great grandpa, all are doing this bad, terrible thing. And I'm like, that's not what I'm not coming after anybody individually. I'm
Right.
coming after the industry. And it's necessary. We have to do it. We can't just be like, oh, I don't want to negatively affect anything. Well, everything else is being negatively affected. So we have to say something. And you can look at this through any major social change that we had, whether it's the women's rights movement or the abolitionist movement. People who were supporting that and very loud activists, they were attacked and they were I don't want to use that word. I'm trying to find another word. They were put down. People were very aggressive towards them. So a lot of people say to me, "Well, why don't you just get quiet? Why don't you just focus on recycling and not using
No,
plastic?" And I say,
no.
because that's not who I am. That's not what I stand
And
for.
and that's not what Miss USA is about either. Like,
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. Like, I know on my hand, more than one hand, two hands, former Miss USAs or Miss Universes that had death threats,
Hmm.
openly
Yeah.
attacking them because they were not ashamed or afraid of sharing their opinions. And
Hmm.
we cannot let people dictate what we say. If we
Yeah.
allow the haters, if we allow the bullies to stop us, then why even take this great opportunity? And it is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to be able to have your voice heard, and to speak, and to be heard. But
Hmm.
not to let them take your power away from you. And they try. Trust me. I Oh God. Clearly you've had it in a much bigger space than I have. In the beginning, like, when I came back to pageants, I was the first Texas title holder for a major plus size pageant ever. And the things people said to
Hmm.
me, this was before social media. And oh,
Hmm.
isn't that sweet, sweetheart? You think you're gonna win a pageant? That's so sweet. Where did you buy that? And I'll be like, didn't want it. Sorry, this is me. This is me.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, that infuriates. I'm so mad now. I'm so mad. I want to like go out and be like, okay, what are we gonna do for Merissa? Let's go change her world because it's not fair. It's not okay.
Mm.
We have to be empowered, and we have
Mhm.
to, and Zosie said it. If we if we continue at the rate we're at right now, men and women. I mean, let's not even talk racially. Let's talk about men and women. It'll take 108 years for us to be equals.
Mm.
I don't like that number.
Yeah.
That needs to happen in my lifetime,
Mm.
not just your lifetime. We need to have the power to say what we believe, and to have conviction behind it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Kenzie is one of our longtime followers. She says, and she asks really hard questions. She says she was at Walmart. Now she's making dinner, but um, Kenzie says, "What's the most impactful piece of advice that you've gotten, and why is it so impactful?"
My interview coach Carrie told me her and I speak every week, and one of the first things she always says is, "So what drama's going on now?" Because it was just,
Oh no, are you serious?
oh, I, whew. The first month was okay. October through December was a disaster, an absolute disaster. So yeah, every week she'd call me. Hi, how are you? What's the news? What's going on? What messages do you have? What do we need to talk about? And one of the first times I talked to her, I was like crying for like an hour because I was so overwhelmed and so sad and so heartbroken by the way that people were treating me and speaking to me. And she said, Merissa, all you can do is shrug. And so anytime I have this issue that I know, like I like to look things in this way. Is there a solution? Yes or no? If yes, work towards it. If no, leave it alone. So she says, if there's no solution, just, oh well. So people will message me all the time. Somebody messaged me yesterday that I'm an embarrassment and Montana's embarrassed to have me. And I just go, okay. And there's nothing that can be done about that. And I have a different point of view, and I've been made fun of my entire life I was vegetarian for a very long time, and now I'm a strict vegan. Like I'm in it for the animals. I'm an animal rights vegan. And so when people come at me, all I think about are the animals inside of slaughterhouses. And so people will say, we have a saying in the vegan community where you think we're loud, you should stand outside a slaughterhouse and listen to the screams because that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what keeps the light underneath us because we know that it's not about me. Nobody's mad at me for being Merissa. They're mad at me for standing up for these sentient beings who are used and viewed as commodities.
Right.
And that's the way that we've always been. And throughout history, there's always been a marginalized and an oppressed group. And we're moving away from humans, thank God. But you look back 150 years,
Have
well,
we though? Like I don't think we have that much. So let's be realistic about that. There's
well,
still
yes, I agree. But in terms of the United States, in terms of freedom and not being free.
right.
So technically all humans are free here. I mean, we can get into all, the immigration and everything and the dreamers, all of that. But if we look throughout history, 150 years ago, Black people were not seen as human beings, they were seen as property.
Right.
And women were not seen as human beings, we were also seen as property. So a way for me to help myself as far as the animal rights movement goes is that there has always been an oppressed group where the more powerful group who's not oppressed does that to the other.
Right. No, I
So,
agree.
so we're moving forward, and now I'm focusing on animals for them to not be the ones who are oppressed.
My animals are my family.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
don't own them. They are my family. My dogs are my kids. I
Mhm.
don't have children, and I can't imagine my life without them. Like I can't. Like and I they're my family. So, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So cute.
This is
Oh.
Keek to Sneak. Look over here. Look.
Hi,
Woof. Right
puppy.
here.
Hi,
Look, look, look.
puppy.
Look over here. He's like,
What are
"What?"
you
So
talking about,
confused.
Mom? Leave me alone.
Yeah,
And mine is
I
gonna come in just a second. I know the curtain's gonna start moving. She, as soon as she hears that voice, she comes running in right away. So I'm sure she'll be here in a second. And then she pops her head up between my legs underneath the desk and kind of goes, "Did you need me?"
Oh, oh, it's so cute. Hi,
Hi, baby.
hi.
I know. Let me see if I can get her. Baby girl.
It's just a party. Hi,
Of course,
how are
I
you?
could get either one of them. Because I have one is my service dog, and the other one is his service dog.
Oh,
we,
that's cute.
we had to get him an emotional support animal. It just made sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They must. My husband is probably keeping them out of here because she was in here a little while ago and she doesn't like to be away from me. So, um,
Oh,
they're family though. Like, and we and it's true. We, as humans, should be giving them a voice because they don't have one for themselves. And I think that it's
well,
beautiful what you're doing.
if I can give you a caveat to that, is that they do have a voice. We just choose to not listen.
Yes.
And they do scream and they do run in terror and they chase after their babies and they value their lives and we choose to not listen. So I understand what you mean and I don't mean to come back at
No,
you
but
with
I
a different
agree with you.
but
I agree with you totally. Like I've always had pets growing up. It wasn't until I had these two dogs that it made which is really sad that I was almost 50 before I had this relationship with animals. I mean, I'd always loved them. I'd always been an animal person,
mhm.
but these these dogs, my service dog is able to fight for me. He's able to tell before I have a heart attack,
Oh wow.
which is huge.
Yeah.
And the first time he saved my life, it was crazy because we were training him. He was in service to and training to be a therapy dog,
Mhm.
and I was 20 minutes away from having a heart attack, and he grabbed my husband. He'd never been aggressive. He'd never growled. He'd never barked. Like it wasn't, and he started barking and pulling on my husband. And my husband came in the bedroom and looked at me and he goes, "Are you okay?" And he said, "I was talking gibberish." So he threw me in the car, drove me to the hospital. And they said that if the dog had not have told him that something was wrong, I would have had a massive heart attack and died. But
Wow.
okay, wow, I have never talked about this stuff on the show. People are gonna be like, "Whoa, Stacey's got me." They
That's how it
have a
always goes with
voice.
me though. People always say like I'm that person at events, parties, clubs, going, whatever it is. I'm always that person who's in these really deep conversations about like life and politics and the afterlife and animals and
Oh,
this
let's
is
talk
this
about
is normal
afterlife.
for me.
Stephanie's on. She'll like that one too. Okay, Stephanie says, and I just want to tell you, Steph's one of my good friends. I love her to death. She does a lot of judging. She's been involved with pageant world for several years. She says, Zosie said, "Take up space, Merissa. Keep taking up space, girl. We support you."
Oh, thank you.
So,
That means a lot because I've been afraid. I've been genuinely afraid because of my stances, being cruelty free, vegan, and everything. I've been afraid that we may have an event where it'll be maybe a barbecue or a rodeo or whatever it may be, where I will have to say I will not
your
partake in
baby
this.
just looked at you like, "Yes, mom."
Yeah, he's like thanks.
That was beautiful. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to go take that picture. I'll have to go back in the video and like and try to because that was. Oh look. Oh,
He's the best dog in the whole world. Oh,
that's so
say hi.
beautiful. Oh my god.
Say hi. Say
Hi, baby.
hi.
But well, and what I mean, we can't live our life in fear. That's why. And Stephanie, don't even. I hear you. I hear you saying it. Just stop right now. She knows I'm going through some stuff right now, so I'm going through fear. But we can't live our life in fear. Um,
Mm,
and you're having an impact, and that's
mhm.
really what needs to happen. So,
Mhm.
even if you get invited to a barbecue, like, it's just like, give me some veggies. I mean, except for the fact that, well,
Yeah.
or a rodeo. Oh my goodness. Hadn't thought about. I was gonna actually talk to you about riding, but that I know so many people that rodeos are not always the best place to have animal friendly experiences. So that
Mhm.
would not be where you go.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Um, yeah.
Deep breath. Okay, so exactly. No fear, Steph says. Thanks, Steph. I knew you were gonna say. I knew she was gonna say it too. Thanks, Steph. I love you. All right. So we're gonna ask. I'm gonna ask you the question, and I think I know the answer to this, but I ask every person that comes on. We'll make it a little bit lighter for a couple minutes. Um,
Yeah.
do you like frogs? Why or why not?
Frogs. Hi. I would say yes. I'm kind of impartial on them. Where I grew up in the country, and we had this water fountain right out front of our house. And when it was spring, I guess whenever frogs come out, they would all go in the water fountain, like, oh my god, hundreds of them. And so I remember going to sleep, and you would just hear all the frogs. So I guess I would say I do like frogs because it reminds me of when I was a kid. Yeah.
But did you raise tadpoles? Because that's one of my favorite things is watching the tadpoles grow and become frogs. I think that's the coolest thing in the world.
I didn't raise them, but we had a pond, and so we would see the tadpoles, and then we'd see the giant toads.
I was always that. I feel kind of bad. I always let them go, but I was always that kid. As soon as they were starting to the spring, I would go out. I would get one or two tadpoles and keep them alive because I love watching the metamorphosis. I love seeing that change and watching. To me, that's fascinating. That's nature. That is the beauty of what our planet is all about. And I miss those
Mhm.
days so much. I grew up in Michigan, like out in the country too. So when I moved to Miami, where it was all cement, I was like, whoa. It's a
Yeah.
little different here. But I love the ocean. So, but there's so much going on with our ocean that's crazy.
Mhm.
All right. Stephanie, we do this or that. So Stephanie's already asked. You silly. She works for Disney, so this is a good question. Thrill ride or calm ride at a theme park?
Probably thrill ride. I'm an adventure seeker.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I wasn't until I went on Tower of Terror, and then once I went on Tower of Terror, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You couldn't have caught me on a roller coaster or anything like that. I not in a million years. Now I am an adrenaline junkie. I also don't
Mm.
know how to speak English. So there you go. Uh, do you prefer interview or evening out?
Oh, uh, interview. Yeah, interview. I really like talking. If you don't know.
I like it. You're easy to talk to, which is we're at an hour, so I apologize. If you need to go, you let me know. But we
I'm all
get
good.
into conversation. It happened because I interviewed Imani Miss Washington yesterday. Well, you know Imani, and it was an hour, and I'm like, I'm sorry, we can go now. And she's like, No, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
As long as it's okay with you. Oh, you snort. Oh, I love that. Oh, so do
I do
I.
snort.
Does it? But see, I love that. Miss Congeniality, it's best. I walked New York Fashion Week in September, and it was the first time since 9/11 that I'd actually gone. And I looked at my husband. So it was after Miss Congeniality came out, and I was like, and I walked down the street like, I'm gliding here. My husband just rolled his eyes.
Okay, that movie though, I am telling you, when people are like, "Oh, is it like Miss Congeniality?" and I'm like, "Yeah, it literally
It
is."
really is.
Yep.
And I think now it's not world peace, although I think it is world peace. But it's women empowerment. It's like, can't we
Mhm.
all just get along? And that really, I I have actually answered on stage question with world peace, but with the intent of trying to have it.
Really?
Yeah, I have. I did it for the
Oh
intent of
wait, I think I
having
lost you
humor.
again.
Yeah, yeah. Did you lose me?
I think, but no, we're
Yeah,
back now.
yeah. But I did do it for the intent of. I mean, Because the question was like, so how are things backstage? And I was like, the answer to that would be world peace.
That's funny.
See,
That's funny.
but that's my personality. Yes, I get serious, but at the end of the day, if I can't be me, I'm not going to try to do this. It has to be who you are and be true to yourself. And
Yeah.
that's so important. So,
Yeah.
miscongeniality is all, I love it. It's real. Anyways.
Yeah, it is. It really, yeah.
Okay. So do you prefer, well, then interview, no, sorry, not interview, evening gown or swimsuit?
Swimsuit.
Really? Tell me why.
But what'd you say?
Tell me why.
I I mean, this is conceited, but I really like being in a bathing suit. I just feel really like I like that it's fast and it's upbeat and it's really sassy and you can throw in a little
I can
turn
see
where
that
evening
ponytail
gown,
just going everywhere.
you
Oh,
yeah, yeah. And for evening gown, it's much more refined and clean and simple, but I'm kind of like, you know, I'm a little wild, so I like the energy that you can bring and the freedom that you have in swim.
I agree. Do you wear tippy tops?
Not anymore. I'm trying to think where my. Do you want me to grab my shoes that I have? I'll show you my shoes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, one second.
For anybody that's just joining us, we've been on for a little while. We are on with Merissa Underwood, Miss Montana USA. She's going to be competing for the title of Miss USA in May. So if you've got questions and you're here, you want to ask questions of her, please do so. Again, just make sure that you make them appropriate because we do have teens that watch. So, okay, let's see.
Okay, and then my live is gonna end right now, so I'm gonna restart it.
Okay, no problem.
And
Has anybody asking you questions on yours?
no, it's mostly my friends just saying hi.
Hi, friends. They can come in here if you tell them to come on they can ask questions here. I'll see it and
Okay,
I can, yeah, if they ask questions, I can't take Instagram and put it in here, but if they go to the Facebook Live and they want to say hi here, they can do that too here, and I'll tag them in so you can see their comments.
okay. So if you're joining us, we are doing a not
It's
a
a conversation.
it's a conversation with Pageants Now. So I'm on my Instagram going live, but if you have questions that you want to ask her specifically, you can go to the Pageants Now Facebook and then you can join that live conversation. If not, if you want to ask questions here, I can answer them too. But if you do want to go to the Facebook page on Pageants Now, you can join their conversation.
It's PageantryNOW. I know it gets
Oh,
confusing. Yeah, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, Pageants Now is the
PageantryNOW.
one that does the live stream for most of the USA, so that's why.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. Okay, so Pageantry Now on Facebook.
Got it.
Okay, we're showing my shoes.
Oh, who are those? Those are cute.
These are Jessica Simpson, so they're very similar to a tippy top.
Yeah, but they've got
I
they've got a wider heel, which I love.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody said, I'll give you 3,000 Korean won if you eat a raw steak on camera. Okay. So these are the type of things that I've been dealing with where people think it's funny. And like, I don't know what it is about people and ethics. And they just really like to push it. Like, people will send me photos of like they go out hunting and they send me their trophy kill, which, it's okay.
What? Are you
I'm glad that I'm on your
serious?
mind.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Like I
So,
just find this stuff bananas, though.
I mean, people just there are two types of people no, there are three types of people in the world. People who are, I say, the average person that doesn't totally know where their meat comes from, but they love animals and then they hear about it and they're disturbed. Then there are the vegans who hear it and they're disturbed and so they take action. And then there are the people who see animals as inanimate commodities. And so, we're in that space. We're living in that space with those type of comments
Stephanie
and messages.
says social media makes keyboard gangsters.
Yep.
True.
Yes.
Well, let's
But
talk about the whole effect of social media, because this is really changing how your reign is totally. Like with respect
ooh, okay,
to
all of the whole question you just asked froze.
Of course. Sorry.
You-
It's not a good
Yeah.
interview if we don't have technical issues. So that's how you know it's a good interview. Conversation. Um, how has social media changed your reign?
Well, we can look at it in a couple different ways. And when everybody kind of came at me, I've never been bullied. I have never had anybody be genuinely mean to me on the internet. And so I didn't post. I wasn't responding to people. I wasn't have you ever thought about okay, I don't okay, so I'll read you this. Have you ever thought about representing Montana and not Jessica Simpson's shoes? So you read things like that and you're like, okay, so but people just choose to be angry about things, and all that does is show that you're upset and angry in your own life. And so that's what I've had to look at when people come at me and they really try and pinpoint me and find out things that I'm doing wrong and try to take me down because they feel small, so they also want me to feel small. So seeing comments like this, and there was a little while where I wasn't really looking at my phone very much. Even my friends would call me and I wouldn't answer, or see, the same way you choose to slander the hardworking men and women of Montana. So welcome, and hi, my name is Merissa. I am Miss Montana USA 2020, and my platform is animal rights and the connection between animal agriculture and choices are, I don't know what that means, but animal agriculture and climate change. So if that's a conversation that you're interested in having, please stay. We can talk about it. From now on, I'm not really going to acknowledge the things because these just take away from the whole message. So what this tries to do is distract us from the message. And the message is climate change and what we're trying to fix and what we're trying to help. So anyways, excuse my little tangent.
It's
Um,
okay. The dinosaurs went extinct, because of global warming, because of the amount of gas that they released. And
mhm,
our planet is having the same issue because we are so overpopulated with people as well as cattle. And please, I know I'm going to get hate mail about it. I know I'm going to get it. It's just, not, I know it's going to happen. But
yeah.
it's the methane gas that we release is what's killing our planet more than anything else, because
Mm,
and the animals as well, because it's an overpopulated planet and there are species that are dying off hourly, which is terrifying.
yeah.
If we don't have an ecosystem to support, the whole circle of life is a real thing, y'all. The Lion King is trying to say something. Hello.
Well, have you seen Fern Gully?
Oh my gosh, I don't know anybody that knows Fern Gully. Oh, I know
Okay.
Goose Pimply. Oh my god! Oh my gosh! It is one of my all-time favorite animated movies. Before anybody knew Robin Williams
Mhm.
could do a funny. Sorry, Steph. I'm sorry. I know you work for the mouse, but um. Oh, dude. Oh, I love it, and it says so much.
It's I rewatched it. It was on, I think I took United. I went to DC for the Citizens Climate Lobby this year to talk about combating climate change and a bill that we're trying to pass through the Senate. And I watched Ferngully on the plane, and I was like, oh, "Hi, Shannon." I was mortified because I grew up on it. I grew up on like different types of movies: Ferngully, The Last Unicorn, the Lord of the Rings cartoons. Okay, I had a different kind of family, and
That's cool.
I paused and I was like, "This is what is happening right now." And the fact that we have been warned, okay, these movies warn us. We can't pretend like we didn't know any of this was going to happen. We just chose to ignore it. And we
And
do that as humans. We're like,
30 years ago.
yep,
30 years ago.
yeah. And the cause of the Amazon deforestation is for cattle farming. Just like I want to scream it to the top of everything, and as well as soya production. And a lot of people will say, well, then that's going to vegans. Well, the majority of soy goes to cattle.
Right.
So if we stop, if we just stop eating cattle, oh my goodness, woo, we'd be in way better shape.
No, I agree. Stephanie says,
I get so worked up.
Stephanie's on a roll with you too. She says, first of all, negativity equals insecurity. So these people are lashing out at you because they don't feel comfortable or safe in the things that you're
Yeah.
telling them, which
Yes.
you can't get away from the truth, people. Our
Yeah.
planet is dying and we are killing it. Hello.
Hmm.
And then she goes, Fern Gully! Exclamation here. And then she says, you're too young to know what Fern Gully
I don't know. I need to ask my parents why we watched these such different movies. I mean, we did not grow up on the same movies as everybody else. Like the cartoon Lord of the Rings was like my favorite movie as a kid. Yeah.
I read it when I was in second or third grade, and my parents were like, "Wait, why are you reading these books?" I'm like, "I don't know. They're cool. It's something different. It's just like I watched Star Wars when Star Wars first came out in '77, and I walked out and I went, Dad, guess what? The Force is real." And my dad looked at me and he goes, Stacy, it's not real. I'm like, yes, it is. There is
Yeah.
good and evil in the world, and this is really happening, and we need to change it. And that
Hmm.
was, I was what, 11 when it came out. So, but it is. Stephanie's gonna say something about that too. But it's true. Like, oh, but okay, so it's so frustrating that we're not paying attention to what our planet is trying to say to us, and the haters are going to hate. And unfortunately, I mean, and I know, coming from a very agriculturally based state, it's got to be super frustrating for you, but also too, like, deforestation, like there's so much, like, oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Again, I live in a place where, we are right on the water, and the water is going to be in our living room. Like, in 1992, Hurricane Andrew hit Miami, which was at that point was the biggest storm on record ever. And my mom's house had freshwater fish and saltwater fish in what was left of her house after the hurricane,
Wow.
because
Wow.
20-foot storm surge.
Wow.
So
That's terrible.
she lived in a 4-story apartment building, lived on the first floor. The top 2 floors were totally taken off of the building.
Wow.
But I mean, I mean, no one knows, that was in 92. So in
Mhm.
92, that was the biggest storm on record. Now, fast forward to 2019,
Mhm.
when we're walking away from the Bahamas being hit by Dorian, which was catastrophic beyond words. Like,
Yeah.
and it sat there for 36 hours,
Hmm.
destroying a set of islands that I can't. Oh
Hmm.
gosh. Okay, so now that we've really talked about that, I mean, this has not been the fun, happy-go-lucky pageant, but I want people to know, and I want, you know,
Yeah, well, I think especially we're fortunate to live in a nation where if we have a disaster, for the most part, we're taken care of. So that's for me, I have to acknowledge the privilege that I have where if there's a disaster, I have the money to be able to leave and go somewhere that's safe, and I would have the money to be able to rebuild myself.
right.
And the majority of the natural disasters that are hitting countries who are being affected the most intensely, they do not have the money for it. The people do not have the money for it. They're developing nations, they're already poor in the first place, and then to come in and it's not even them who's creating it, it's the countries like us and China and India, and these people can't rebuild. And so, I've said to a lot of people who tell me that climate change isn't real, and I say just because you look out the door and it's raining doesn't mean that we're not in a drought. So
Absolutely.
we have to understand the way that things are affecting everybody else. And everybody says to me, okay, well, Montana's not experiencing this. And I say, but I'm not here only for Montana. I'm here for the world. to all be working on, and we've all done this to get us here in the first place, so all of us have to work on it to get us back to the beginning. So we can't just be like, oh, tra la la, like outside is pretty here, so it's okay.
No, and it's and having blinders on doesn't make it okay. Like, and
Hmm.
that's the thing, is it's easy to say, oh, I've heard that, or that's not true, or what. I mean, honestly, the politicians here in Florida literally have said you cannot say global warming. Cannot. It's illegal. I
I
mean,
don't understand.
in a political, like, so in legislation and anything that happens in the state of Florida, those words cannot be used: global warming and climate change. And
You know that.
now our previous governor is a senator, so let's be really scared about that.
Yeah. See, that's what makes me so upset. Cory Booker recently announced that he's not going to be running anymore. And I'm like, no, the only politician to actually acknowledge the direct correlation between animal ag and factory farming. And so I really hope, I've heard rumors that he might be somebody's running mate and be the VP. And
Ooh.
that's really cool. So I hope that happens.
Stephanie says you're
Just
sounding.
rumors, I don't know.
Stephanie says that you are sounding like a Miss Universe.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
That's a big
Steph, you
compliment.
made her day. You are. You're. I mean, not, and not that we haven't, but she said she loves a smart queen, and she's signing up for the Merissa fan club.
Oh, thank you.
I love you, Steph.
That means a lot because for me, for the few months that happened between October and December, I was like, wow, I'm really alone in this. And I felt so, I just felt really defeated for a little while. But then PETA messaged me and I was like, okay, we're good. Because PETA knows who I am. PETA's followed me on Instagram. So I was like, I'm good.
But that's, I mean, and that has to be great for Maureen too, and David, because they're your directors are enabling you to be powerful and to make the statement and to be representation of what your heart is, which I think is super super important. They've got to be super proud that you're not backing down and that you're not, you know, letting the bullying affect you, because it happens at the national level. Like, I'm just going to tell you, and unfortunately, as Miss USA, it doesn't get any easier. And if there's any way to be able to show that, like Sarah Summers last year really was hurt by it, because it was hard. Chesley's having I mean, not that you would see it, but I mean, I know your hair's not right, you're not speaking on the right talking speaking points, you're not black enough, you're not white enough, you're not, like, everybody's perfect the way they are. Just, can we stop attacking other people and start to be responsible for yourselves?
Hmm.
Well, and can't we all just get along? World peace, please.
It's, you
Oh
know,
God.
it's if I love to psychoanalyze things. So if I were to psychoanalyze that, people behave that way when they feel so small inside and they look at somebody else who's so successful and really speaking their voice and they're challenging them. And that's
Right.
kind of what I've done as an activist and environmentalist is I'm challenging a person's way of life. And the only way to change somebody's opinion or viewpoint is to connect to them emotionally. So you can come out and you can give them all the facts and the logic and everything, and they will still say, nah, it doesn't sit right. No, but if you connect with somebody emotionally
Right.
and you're able to even if you don't meet eye to eye on the facts, but if you just say, look, I'm a human, you're a human, I acknowledge your presence, I really just hope that you acknowledge mine. I feel like that breaks down such a massive barrier in and of itself.
No, it's so so true. And like, and that part of the reason that that's the whole idea of pageantry now. That's where the whole idea came from. Is that women that have titles, men that have titles too, pageantry and men is starting to take off, but it's historically been women. So, but you really are taking up an opportunity to really ease. not even ease into discomfort. It isn't just taking a little step into the
I think it probably
uncomfortable.
can.
Did Sorry. Ah, I hate when I phrase.
I
This is an opportunity to be uncomfortable so that it makes you grow, and to be able
hmm
to have your viewpoints heard. So few people get to really hear what a title holder is about.
hmm
Generally you see a picture on, and then you see them in evening gown, and you see them in swimwear, and then it's one question on stage. But what you're really about, and I'm sorry, the 30 seconds that you get to have that little clip where you're talking about yourself if you make the top 20 is not enough to get to know you. And that's where this show came from, was like, you've got great things to say. I want you people to hear them. I want
hmm
there to be that ability to hear the well-spoken, well-educated people and tell their stories. And I know it's super exciting that Pete is following you. So, like, do you think that you would become a spokesperson for them? Like, what do you think about that?
Um, I guess it would depend on the campaign. I've done I'm very active in the animal rights community. And so it kind of everything interconnects. And so people who do activism work, whether it's a vigil outside of a slaughterhouse, whether it's a protest outside of a butcher shop or something, we all kind of work on it together. So, I mean, I would love to do like a campaign or something for them. Right now, I'm not connecting necessarily with companies that are very, very polarizing. And while I agree with PETA right now as a title holder, I would not do a campaign for them right this moment, but down the line I would. And what I've chosen to do in terms of collaborations and partnerships are things that everybody can get on board with. So I work with a company called Bold Box, and they are a zero waste, sustainable box that sends it, 4 times a year, and it's things like dish cleanser and soap and utensils and straws and things like that. So that's really my big thing that I want to say is it's not this polarizing thing. We want less waste and we just want to fix the planet, and it's not,
Spend
you
ten
know.
dollars, get a reusable straw. I mean, it makes a huge difference. And I know for me, like, I see the oceans and I see the crap that is just sitting in the water. Uh, one of my husband ran for office here, so um, we're very clicked into the cleanups that happen on the coast. Hey, the
Mhm,
crap that is out there, like, we use bamboo toothbrushes so that they easily, they're biodegradable. They eventually will fall apart, which is
mhm.
great. We try to use plastic as little as possible, but y'all don't know until you have seen the kind of, and we're talking astronomical amount of cleanup that happens just in our little part of the world. So I can't even imagine what it's like worldwide. And clearly we could do this for a really long time. So
Yeah.
all right. We've been on for almost an hour and a half. I'm loving every minute of this. I want to keep talking, but I also want to let you go back to your life. But um, the question that's been bouncing around in my head: do you think that you would run for office? Because it seems like that's a good place for you.
It's funny because everybody says that to me. And people tell me all the time to go to law school, and I'm like,
Yeah, huh?
no. No, yes, everybody tells me they're like, you'd make such a good lawyer. So the thing about me is that while I'm very outspoken, and what I believe in is what I believe in, and I'm black and white, and but I'm also a very emotional person, and I take things in emotionally. And so I've acknowledged that my life, it needs to be catered towards things that are going to feed me emotionally as opposed to things that will take from me emotionally. And from what I've seen in our political environment is that it takes a lot. and it's mean and it's hard on these politicians who only want to do good things. As now, I have no intent. Maybe, when I'm like 50 or something, I would run for like city council. But even then, I don't know. It just, it seems so, because everybody just, even being a title holder, people tell me day in and day out what I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to look like, what I'm supposed to talk about. Stop talking about Jessica Simpson shoes. Like, I'm allowed to talk about shoes and lipstick and makeup if that's what I want to talk about.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I will tell you too that, just to put that in, like, I just, oh, okay. No, sorry, I won't. I was gonna say I use all vegan makeup because I don't want. I mean, I'm limited to what I can use because I have reactions with my skin and stuff. But
Yeah.
I started to make those changes because we need to have a better place to live, and we need to have a better ability to be able to support all things, not
Yeah.
just some things. So, oh my gosh, I was curious because, like, I agree with you. Like, I would have gone to law school until I realized it would be lying the whole time. And it's not lying, it's just finding different levels. And Chesley, I love you. If you watch, I apologize. You're a strong, empowered woman. I love that you take up for the underdog, which is important. But it really is trying to figure out whose idea of the law is the right way to make people understand it. Um,
Mhm.
you have to be very influential, which is not, I think it's not a bad quality to have. Just it wasn't something I wanted to do. And then I ran for office and lost by like 60 votes.
Mhm.
But I was so glad I lost because I don't think I really wanted it. I was doing it for the wrong. And then my husband ran for office 4 years ago, and I was so glad he didn't, because now we're on the other side of it, helping the city in a different way.
Mhm.
Um, it's just not easy, and it's a lot of attacking, and it's a lot of compromising, which is not a bad thing, but we need people that are going to get work done and not spend their whole time digging their heels in and not making a change. And you can be a much better change as Miss Montana USA, or as Miss USA, or as Miss Universe, or in anything that you do. So all right, we're going to wrap it. Tell me, what would you like everybody to know about you that we haven't talked about already?
Like a fun fact, or
It's up to you. Whatever you. I mean, we can do a fun fact and then a serious fact. So,
I don't know. I I don't know. These questions are always hard for me in interview where they're like, "Tell me something about you we don't already know." And I'm like,
but
"Oh,
then it's good to practice it here, because this is just like being an interview or being on stage, because you're live and you don't. I mean, you know.
yeah." Oh, I don't know. I guess a fun fact about me is I talked a little bit about music and my kind of obsession with it, but that would be the biggest thing where it's like, oh, what do you do in your free time? I listen to music and I listen and I listen and I listen. And, I love going to shows and concerts and events. And I can show you like a little bit here. I have my own, I don't know if you can kind of see
Oh,
it.
that's so cool. Is that a mixing table?
Yeah, so I have my little SR2, which is a controller, a Pioneer controller. And then I
So
sing as
cool.
well. So I have my mic and my interface set up. So that's something that,
Do you
you
make
know,
your own music?
um, kind of, I'm not very good. I try to produce. I do have a couple, I have Ableton, and I'm just not. Ugh, I want to so bad, but I'm not that great at it. So I like to sing. I write poetry. I'm actually performing at an event on Sunday where I'll be reading a poem about, my battle with animal rights, which will be really fun and intense.
I like your light, by the way. Is that a ring light?
it's it's like a little. Oh wait, that's my phone. I'm trying to like show it. Yeah, it's a small one. It was
Oh,
like,
it's so cool, though. I love that.
yeah, and it has a little hook that you can put your camera on too, so you can hook it to the wall, and then your camera goes on, and then you have the light.
It's a much better because I've got the big ring light and it doesn't give me the right color. I haven't balanced it yet, but
Mm.
sorry, I digress. Okay, squirrel. Sorry.
Uh, that's the thing that not a lot of people know about me is like my music interests and that I write poetry and everything. So I'm very creative. And that's less known. I don't talk about that too terribly much. So I don't know if that constitutes as a fun fact or
That's
a
a fact
serious
that we
fact.
wouldn't know. I mean, either one, because is it cathartic? Do you find that it helps you heal and to share your story?
Completely. Yeah. So for me, when I go to not even go to a concert or anything, when I just play music in my house, things stop and become very centered for me. And when I'm thinking about music and working on it, it's something where I'm not stressed about anything else because that's the thing that brings me back and brings me that solace.
What kind of music do you like?
I like dubstep, which no,
Wait a
no,
second. Okay, we should have started that an hour and a half ago. Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
yeah, yeah. People would never, ever, ever guess my favorite music. And then people will get in the car with me and they're like, Merissa, what? Or friends will come over at like 10 in the morning and I'll be playing like Bass Nectar or Excision or something. And they're like, hang on.
My husband is into EDM. I mean, he's 51 and I'm like I'll get into the car like, "Dude, can we please turn it down? Like I just can't. I just can't." I mean, I get it. I like and I love music. I love rhythms, but there are just times when I'm just like, "Okay, okay." I'm like, "You do know that you're not 20, right?"
Well, see, that's the thing that scares me is this like there's I don't mean to call you out, but there's an ageism around electronic music that I really it bothers me because it's like it doesn't matter how old you are. If something resonates in your spirit, then it
I
resonates in your
agree.
spirit. And that's what's really cool about Bass Nectar is that it's not this like rave to do drugs and like get out of the house. It's this spiritual experience that anybody of any age. I've met 60-year-olds who are, at their 30th Bass Nectar show. And it's like really a community. Like my best friends I've made just in the middle of a crowd and you catch someone's eye and you start singing to them. And you're like lifelong friends.
That's so cool. Like because we're having this challenge here because Ultra is here, which is a smaller version of like Coachella or some of the other bigger shows. But
Yeah.
so we have the rich people in Miami that are fighting about these younger people being here and taking over and the loud music. And
Hmm.
then there I mean, but and then we have environmentalists that clearly are upset about it because of the noise pollution that I don't think it I mean, it does cause new noise pollution, I know, but I'm like but I think it's cool. Like I think that I love the fact that you know my parents went to I mean my parents didn't but my parents generation went to Woodstock and
Hmm.
why can't we all have that same ability to have music bring us all together? Like why is that? I mean, I can't even imagine Coachella, but I know that everybody here just like gets bananas about Ultra. So
Yeah. Yeah. Coachella is not my cup of tea. A lot of my friends go to it. I mean, I don't mean to sound like a festival snob, but it's a little more of like that's where the Insta model goes, and it's in the daytime, so it's more about like how you look. And I like the ones that are at night that
it's
are up.
Ultra. That's I mean, it is all day, but it is much darker. Like usually the music goes all night long instead of just because most of the time the music goes to like 6 or 7 in the morning and then everybody sleeps and then they start performing again at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So it's cool. That's cool. Oh my god, that's so cool. Okay, see things I wouldn't have known if I hadn't have asked. All right,
Yeah.
anything else you want to share with us? Because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that one always throws people. And let's see what else. I don't know what else is. I think my mom's here. Mom, what else is cool about me?
Hi,
And
Mom.
also, other random things about me. I love like my favorite movie is well, my favorite movies plural are Lord of the Rings. So I'm like a big fantasy nerd, sci-fi ish, I guess. I also have 4 tattoos, and I want to get a bunch more.
Are you going to
Uh,
cover them at Miss USA or no?
yeah, I will. I'm getting one
Oh,
removed because
come on.
it's quite large. Okay, so I actually I'll say this because I want to know like what you think of it. I was going to be a little political about it and use opportunity political statement, and I was going to get tattooed on my shoulder the number of animals that are slaughtered every second, and then underneath put a pig and then write for the animals. And this is a tattoo that I'm going to get afterwards, but
Uh-huh.
I was like, maybe I should get it and just wear it on stage. I don't know.
2 years ago, um, at Miss Universe, Miss New Zealand, who's Maori, uh, had her tribal tattoo.
Oh,
And
cool.
it was very cool because it's really a part of their culture. It's very much, it represents adulthood for them.
Hmm.
And tons of people are talking about it, and that was one of the first interviews I requested, was because I thought it was so cool that she was not covering it up, and she was
Hmm.
representing herself and representing her culture and representing her people and her beliefs, and
Hmm.
refused, not, I don't want to say refused, but chose to step into the light and not be ashamed of who she was. Um, and I know that there was plenty of press that followed her, but probably not enough. And I really wish that more women would not be afraid of that.
Hmm.
Just because there's so much controversy about piercings and tattoos and pageantry, and do you do it, and is it inappropriate, is it not appropriate? And I think that
Yeah.
that was a really big step towards us being able to say it's my body and this
Yeah.
is what I'm proud of. So, I don't know, because it's also going to, I believe they're going to try to keep the panel all women again. I believe they're going to try to keep it so that it's previous title holders. So it's just
Oh,
going
I
to
love that.
it's going to depend on, yeah, that's the direction that they're going, which is
Hmm.
cool because then these are women that have walked in your shoes. They know what you're going through. They understand the challenges that you're facing, you know, as a state title holder, and then also as a national title holder as well.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I would say, I don't know. I Well, message me afterwards. I'll ask Mike. I'll take a I'll ask the people that are like around me and see what they think. I
Hmm.
personally think it would be cool, but the question is, are you okay with that being the statement that you're making on the Miss USA stage, and is it okay for that to be the opportunity to be able to share that?
Yeah, I had to look at it whether I'm doing it for myself or my stance as an activist. And going into this, I feel like it is my responsibility to do it as an activist. So that's where I looked at it as, do I do I cover it to fit that mold, or do I become outspoken and go a little bit of a different route? So I'm not sure.
Have you talked to Maureen and David about it? Have you asked them?
I haven't. I think I've only told one other person actually, maybe
Oh,
two.
now everybody knows. Okay.
Now everyone knows, so everyone can give me their. Actually, I take it back. I was gonna say everyone give me their 2 cents, but you know what?
No.
I'm so exhausted looking at all my messages. So,
Okay. Are you still getting people saying nasty things right now on Instagram?
not right this second, but every single day. Yeah. On almost every single post, in my personal messages, and then on my messages on my Montana Instagram. Oh, it is. It's like they wake up and they're like, "Gotta send her that message." Yeah.
Mm. Mm, 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 Don't let them dim your light. Please don't let them dim your light.
Well, what was cool about it is while all this negative stuff came in, because it was on the news, it was on like 4 or 5 different news channels, and I think a couple Instagram posts had thousands of messages. But then Veg News, which is one of the biggest vegan news outlets, they reached out to me and they did a news story on it. So then I got, all the vegan support, and there is no support like vegan support, let me tell you.
Oh, I know. My best friend's vegan, and so
Oh, yeah.
and she's, so whenever I go to visit her, she always has to tell the boys, "Hey, just Miss Stacy's coming to visit, and there's gonna be meat in the house because she has to have it. And I mean, they're okay. Like, she has pigs that live in her house, which I think is she has pet pigs, but they're not. Everyone sees little teeny tiny pigs and they think they're gonna stay little teeny tiny. These are not little teeny tiny pigs. So, um, but they're cool. I mean, I think it's. I mean, but I understand, and people think that she's vegan. She is for ethical reasons, but it's because of food allergies and hormones that she doesn't she's chosen to be vegan because it affects her family in a bad way and herself as well. So, um, but yeah, I get it. Her boys are always
Yeah.
like, Miss Stacy's gonna do what? And I was like, Miss Stacy's gonna have an egg. Don't tell anybody, okay? And the look on her face when I used a pan to make the egg, and then I didn't realize
Oh, yeah.
oh my gosh, it didn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
And I know what a kosher kitchen is. It didn't even occur to me. I just was like, oh my gosh, now I've got to scrub everything, and I felt so bad.
That's a big thing, is sharing pots and pans and everything. Um, yeah. It gets, and as you're vegan longer and longer, it gets more and more like, for me, if when I walk, and I'll accidentally walk by the meat aisle at the grocery store, because I usually tend to ignore it completely, because the vegetables are on that end and then the meat is on the other, and I'll accidentally walk through it, and I'm like, oh, and I get like mortified. Oh, it ruins like the next 5 minutes for me, and I like turn around and run away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
All right. I love you. I'm so glad I got to know you. I'm so sorry I took up most of your night, but
No, it's all
let's do this
good.
again. Like, I would love to. I know Imani and I spoke about it last night, that maybe at the Global Beauty Awards, when we've got all 8 of you together, maybe we can get you all uh just in a shot and just have you guys all start talking, because I think people need to see more of that dynamic too, of all of you working together and supporting each other, because we get that connotation that pageantry is, girls not being kind to each other, and you know tearing each other's dresses, or messing up, and it's not that way.
No,
And I
not
would
at
love to.
all.
It's not, and that's what I mean. And you guys get to go as a team all together to USA, which I think is so cool.
Mhm.
So, but all right, we'll have you come on again. I want to talk more, and now I feel compelled to have you have more places, or even if it's this place, where you can come and speak, your truth, which I think is important to have your voice. So please keep in touch with me. Let's continue this conversation, because I think it needs to continue, and I think there needs to be. I'm not comfortable with people bullying you. I'm certainly not comfortable with people feeling like they can get away with it. And if that means I get hate mail, that's fine. I'll deal with it. But I don't. I mean, it's not okay.
Yeah.
As a person who has been bullied most of her life for many different reasons, and Alyssa Campanella is one of my favorite Miss USA's, because she's a redhead, and we don't get representation at all.
Yeah.
So, all right. All right, my love. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing. It is your truth. This is your story, and um, don't let them take your light, because it's just not. You need to speak this truth, and it's important to you, and don't let them push back. All right.
Thank you so much. I loved this. Was so fun. I can't believe it's almost been
I
two
know. Can
hours.
you believe it? It just and I try to explain to people, and people are like, "So what are we going to talk about?" I'm like, "I don't know. It'll be dependent on you and what you have to say." But I think it's been fun. It's been good. I've had a good time.
Yeah, me too. Thank you
Awesome.
so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, my love, and we will see you. Oh, how do they find you? So, I mean, I know I put on Miss Montana USA, but if people want to follow your journey, if they have things that are positive to say, please, people, let's support this woman. How do they support you?
So my personal Instagram is Merissa, Merissa.Underwood. I also, underneath it says the vegan unicorn. So if you can't find it through that, search for the vegan unicorn on Instagram. I live a little bit under a rock, and I don't have any other social medias, so I only have Instagram. So you can find me there. I'm really like open and responsive to positive messages. If you have any questions about being vegan, cruelty free, sustainability, zero waste, whatever it may be, even you can message me about shoes. I don't care. If you have anything nice to say or you're interested in something positive, please message me. I will answer you.
I like your Jessica Simpson shoes, but I love your message even
Thank
more. So thank you so much. And can do you ever check
Oh, we froze again.
the do you ever check the Miss Montana USA Facebook or no?
Yes, yes, I do. I'm just so when I post on my Instagram, it automatically
Automatic
posts
post.
to the Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I wasn't sure if people messaged you at the Miss Montana USA Facebook if they would find you, but Instagram is the best place to be able to message. So
Yeah, so I do go on the Facebook, but Instagram is much quicker for me. That's the one I'm really good at.
okay, good. So because I'll message you there. It'll be easier than trying to. We were emailing back and forth. It would be easier to just do it there. Okay, cool. Thank you, my love. Thanks for being on. I had so much fun. It was. I mean, I know it was way more political than we usually get, but I think that your
It
story has
always is with me.
validity. That's not a bad thing to be an outspoken, empowered woman. That's what Miss USA is all about. So,
Mhm.
thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll
Have
see
a
you
good
later.
night.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Oh, there we go, guys. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I know that it's been a busy night. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for anybody that popped in and watched, even if you watched for 60 seconds. Thank you for being here. Our crownies are the reason that we do this show, and because we want to be able to show the positive things that title holders are doing. If you have not already, please like our page on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram at PageantryNOW. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And maybe, I'm not sure yet. We haven't been able to figure out the details totally. Tomorrow night, we might have Miss Kansas USA 2019 before she crowns her successor on tomorrow night. And then Sunday at 5, we have on Mrs. Agricultural USA. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't remember. I know who it is, but my brain is stopped working. But our regular showtime on Sunday at 5 p.m. So join us and share your stories, and please message us if you got questions. And that is a wrap, guys. I appreciate it. I'm Stacy with Pageantry Now. Good night. Hashtag be kind to one another, please. Thanks.